Good evening, I'm Jeff. I'm a Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 2748 Northeast Bryant Street here in Portland. We're located down in the basement right here next to the main stack. We have a 4-inch cast iron cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We currently have water running. Here we go. And I will zero the camera counter out right here at the base of the cleanout. And I'll refer to this spot as the point of access. Here we go. We do have some standing water here. We'll take another look at this area on the way out when it's all drained. And my camera is going through a big, gigantic mountain of debris right here. Now this is another spot. I'm boring a hole. You can see right there how I'm skirting around the edge of a big, it's almost a complete blockage there. So we'll take a look at that once we get it all drained out here at the end. Alright, transitions here at 26 feet over to 6-inch concrete pipe. And that there is one gnarly bunch of fuzzy fungus growing on the sewer pipe. And that's all that is. That's not a tree root or anything like that. Some fungus growing in there. I'm looking at the left side of the pipe, about halfway up the sidewall there. There's a little object sticking out of the line. That actually looks like we may have a crack in the pipe there, and a root has just made its way through. You can see directly beneath that there's kind of a line or a score in the concrete there, leading straight down from that, and that does look like we may have a crack there in the pipe, and a root has made its way in. It's a very, very small thing to take a look at there and confirm, but it's kind of strange for debris to get hung up sticking straight out of the pipe like that. It's nearly impossible for anything other than a root to be and look that way. Looks like a rag got down the sewer line. Now we obviously have a little bit of settling that's occurred here. You can kind of see how this is making a ramp for my camera to pop over. That's not really affecting the flow in a big way there. I'm looking at these strands hanging from the top of the line there. They are bright white. Generally, roots are not bright white. That looks more like a cobweb there, and you can see once they get past the thick white part of it, you can see a cobweb coming off of it. It's kind of suspending it in the air. And similar to the other one coming down from that pipe joint there. We'll take another look at that on the way out. That's kind of a tricky spot to see there. This right here in the flow line, though, could actually be a root ball. So it may be roots that have just been covered up by cobwebs and stuff. That's another spot we'll look at. Now the pipe down here is in pretty rough shape. There's a lot of aggregate rock showing through. You can see there's an earthworm right there on the right side of the pipe. It's making its way in and out of the line. We obviously have a line here that to some extent is open to the ground around it. When you start getting aggregate rock like this showing through, it's very, very jagged. The pipe is what we call is becoming eggshell condition, where you can actually get water just seeping right out through the sidewall of the pipe. We're probably going to have to clean my camera lens off here in a minute to get a good look at everything. We'll take a look at all that stuff on the way out. And then here at 68 feet out, this is the main lateral. I'll do locates to verify where this is at exactly. I'm going to reel out and clean the camera lens off and we'll go back through. Alrighty, I located the camera head successfully out at the main on Northeast Bryant Street. The line is still draining out here a little bit. I'll give it just a minute longer to fully drain out. Alright, it is about as drained out as it's going to get here. I'm trying to look at the turn here down near the flow line. You can see how the pipe kind of changes color from gray to almost like a yellow color. I'm talking about kind of the left side of the line right in the turn there in the flow line area. It looks like we may have some pipe that's getting worn out on that turn. In Multnomah County, the city or the street portion of the line is the city's responsibility. You can always forward everything on to them and see what they'll do about it. The concrete portion, much of it is in very rough condition. There's a lot of aggregate rock showing through. On the left side of the pipe right here, this is kind of a tough one to discern whether those are cracks or roots coming in. That spider web pattern on the left side of the pipe there that's dark in color. Sometimes you'll get roots that will hug right against the sidewall. It's likely either that or you've got cracks there in the pipe that have just kind of filled up with gunk over time. I'll perform locates here in just a minute to see where exactly the street curb is. And as a rule of thumb in Multnomah County, generally the city takes care of from curb to curb. Looks like we may have a root here that kind of popped up into the line. It's either that or it's a piece of concrete that's busted up in the flow line. It's flipped up that way. We have a big wall right here in the middle of the line. I would definitely recommend fixing that. And the reason I think it's possibly concrete is just in front of that little wall there. You can see that little pooling water. It's almost the same exact shape as that object sticking up in the pipe there. So it's possible that that is busted away there and flipped up and gotten stuck that way. Possibly a root. That's feeling and looking a little bit more like concrete to me. Either way is a large obstruction there in the middle of the line. Now we've got spots like this. There's a lot of these because of the amount of cobwebs in the line. It can be difficult to discern whether that's a root coming through there. What will happen is the root comes through and then either debris like toilet paper or spiders will actually build cobwebs and it gets all wrapped around that. So it makes it difficult to actually tell if that is a root or if that is just cobwebs hanging there. Given the way it's hanging there in the line, I'm leaning more towards it being roots. Now when you get enough cobwebs, there's another similar spot. You can see that part of that is definitely cobwebs, but it's thick enough that it could certainly be roots too. Generally you won't get roots suspending themselves across the line like that, but they get wrapped up with cobwebs and they will do that. And when you get back into this portion of the concrete, you can see how smooth the pipe is in here. It's not all, I mean, the concrete up ahead is at the end of its lifespan. I can almost guarantee you you're getting water seeping out through the sidewalls just because it's that worn out. I'm going to locate right here and see where we're at exactly. We're going to be focusing on everything from the curb back to the home, as that would be homeowner responsibility. We'll see where we're at here. Alright, so this spot right here where the camera is sitting is directly beneath the curb. So I don't know exactly if this spot right here would be that of the city's. You'd have to send the video to them and see what they want to do about it. It's right on the edge here. At this point here, though, this would be, in fact, I'll go locate right here. I believe this is going to be just barely into the street. Alright, we're located here. We're 10 inches to a foot out into the street where it was positioned right here. So this does appear that it's in the city's responsibility here, out beyond the curb. So I would certainly send the video to the city so they're aware of the issue there. Now, most of this concrete is ready for an update. A lot of aggregate rock going through. If you were able to somehow remove this piece here by busting it out of the way by a hydrojetter or something like that, you may actually be able to do a trenchless repair and do a liner inside of it. It is in rough shape in much of it, but it still has proper slope and grade, and you know, minus the obstructions in the flow line there, would drain out properly. Anyway, I wanted to, from here at about 54 feet, just before that obstruction, from this point back, we're sitting basically right underneath the street curb currently. And I did mark this. It's marked with a white X. I have it painted where it goes over the curb, and we are at 7 feet 6 inches deep here. And again, some of these dangly, strandy looking items here, I don't see a whole lot of large trees out front. Doesn't mean that there weren't any at some point in this property's existence. But these are very difficult to discern whether they are roots or a combination of roots and cobwebs. Now they're thick enough that they do look like roots. They're just with all the white cobweb over the top of them, you can't see. Anyway, this portion of the concrete here, at least its current condition, is in fairly good shape. We have some movement that's taken place here, some settling that's occurred. And what I don't know, unfortunately, is if we were coming back the other direction, I'd love to be able to look at this joint from the other side to see if it's wide open to the ground or not. It's entirely possible that water may come over the top of this edge here and drop down straight down into the ground there. That we unfortunately cannot see. Appears to be a root strand coming through, and it does appear that there's a crack there in the pipe. There's some staining in a line directly beneath that, and that would certainly explain how a root got into there. It is obviously a very tiny little root, but if it's the start of a root intrusion, that can split the concrete pipe open there, especially if it's coming through the sidewall and not a pipe joint. The joint on this is right in front of that, so anyway, I'll locate and see where this is at. Alright, so this is located just to the right of the front stairs, down near the sidewalk, probably about 6 feet or so up into the yard on that hard slope. That's quite deep there. It's a hard spot to locate because of the angle, but I'm getting it somewhere in the 9 to 10 feet deep range. And just up above that, where the yard is flat, there's about a 5-foot wide dirt patch there in the middle of the grass, which I don't know if a tree was removed. It would certainly explain how roots got into here. All the other little foliage on the ground there is far too small to get roots down that deep, but a tree up there that's been removed would explain how a root got into there. That's very deep for a little tiny plant or shrub to get down to. Now, given the depth of the line and the fact that it has proper slope and grade throughout the concrete, I would do a liner rather than to try and trench that up. You're usually going to be money ahead to do that when you have to dig that deep. Some minor separation there in the joint, nothing too significant. Now we're about to go through that big bunch of debris here. It looks like someone decided to flush some rags down the pipe. There's a whole bunch of these throughout the line. There's about 2 or 3 up ahead. Now, the line needs to be jetted in its current state right now. This thing could back up the next time you use the toilet. The exact diameter of the pipe here, so that definitely needs to be jetted out. And then don't be flushing any more rags down the line. But that's not paper product or anything like that that's going to deteriorate and break down. That's going to sit there forever. Yeah, I would recommend a Hydrojet to clean all the debris out of the line here. I would also do a rescope to ensure that it was properly removed and didn't just get pushed down the line a little bit further. As it sits right now, apart from that obstruction in the middle of the pipe, the line is flowing correctly, and that obstruction is just into the street. So all the pipe on property is functioning at this time as far as getting, well, apart from the rags here, getting debris from point A to point B. It does drain out properly. There's no major bellies or anything like that. My concern is just the condition of the concrete, and it looks like we have 2 or 3 possible root intrusions and possibly a crack there. They're just really difficult spots to discern with the angle the camera has on it. But that little finger strand poking through the joint up there at about, or not the joint, but that what looks like a crack in the pipe. That's a hard one to explain other than to be a root. Need to clean the lens off here. Alright, I was pushing the camera back out here just to do one more overview. This joint right here does look like we have small root hairs coming through. It's possible it's something else like string, but when you've got aggregate rock showing through like that, that's pretty normal to get roots coming up through there. So possible root intrusion right here, and a possible root intrusion right here at 53 feet. So at this point, again, this is the curb here, so we're going to focus on this back. I would definitely contact the city and show them this video, because that right there, that obstruction in the middle of the line, flow line, needs to be fixed. The possible roots here at 53 feet, as well as 50 feet. We've also seen a couple joints with some really tiny root hairs in the right at the joint, spots like this. A whole bunch of rags in the line. Now this spot right here is concerning because of how much it has become offset. That joint could be wide open. We just can't see it. There's our I'm almost positive is a root coming through there, as well as a what looks like a crack. And then we have our debris buildup right here. First and foremost, that's the first thing that needs to be taken care of is that. That needs to get jutted out of there before a blockage happens in a backup. So due to the issues throughout the concrete pipe, I would recommend doing a pipe liner or sleeve to update that section of the line. Even that first half of the concrete, although it's in better shape, you don't have a bunch of aggregate rock showing through, there are multiple other issues going on there with some definitely we have one root intrusion there. We also have a pretty significant offset. That's that little ramp my camera had to pop over. That would be my recommendation. Update the concrete section and then contact the city so they're aware of the obstruction in the middle of the line there. And I would have a rescope done after any repair or drain cleaning work is done to ensure it was done correctly. Especially the jet, you want to make sure that that bunch of rags there gets removed from the line properly. Cast iron's in good shape, but overall, if you get some of that debris out of there, the line is functioning. It's just getting to the end of its lifespan, especially the last half of the concrete is far beyond that point. So I would update that concrete.